Hey folks, Grego here. Time for another GrupoAmos in Colombia broadcast. Today, we have a client of mine, Khara Ashburne, contacted me and wanted help in getting her and her family to Colombia. So I helped her. And now she's here. So this is like fantastic. This is, success, tangible success for the stuff I've helped people with, and for the improvements and the manifestations that they're creating in their lives. So everybody, say hello to Khara.
Hello, beautiful people.
So as I said, Khara contacted me and she was planning on moving her and her family here to Medellin, Colombia. And that is what she did. Khara, tell us a little bit about this whole process from, making the decision to actually getting here and handling the logistics and all of that. I mean, I kind of think that at points it might have been crazy. Tell us about it.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey. So we saw you and the whole journey has been pretty fast, I think, by some people's comparisons, because some people plan to live abroad. Mm-hmm. And for us, the decision was made within about 30 days. We decided to take the leap, and then the planning began. And we looked into a couple of different countries, like many other Black people. We considered Africa, but we thought that the culture shift would be a bit too much. And it was expensive to fly there. If we got there and we hated it, it would cost so much for us to come back home. And so we started considering South America, and we looked at Panama, and someone that we met who lives there told us, it's so hot here, just go to Medellin. And that was the first time that I had even of this beautiful city. My husband was more familiar with it for all of the wrong reasons that most people think of when they think of Colombia. But we decided to start looking for ourselves, and we just started meeting people here online and found out what an amazing place it was. And then there was the complication of our children being in a traditional American school. They started homeschooling and practicing homeschooling over the summer to be ready, and things went well. I have a 16-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old son. We have a 24-year-old daughter, but she stayed in the States. Okay. And, it is like you said, it's a whole nother animal when you're transitioning, not just yourself, not just a partner, but even children. It's complicated, but I think to any parents out there, you just have to remember that you are the parent and that you know the future, and your children do not know. So they were resistant. We will experience comparable for them.
Okay. But then also, I know that in your decision-making process, this has been, or living abroad has been a long time, a long-held dream for you, but it wasn't the case for your husband. So tell me a little bit about the process you two went through to get on this same, we're going to go live in Colombia page.
Right. Can you say divorce? No, I'm just kidding. No, I am, as silly as it sounds, I'm an avid fan of House Hunters International. Like, I just love the idea of people chucking it all and going to do something different. Okay. So yes, it's always been a fantasy of mine. I have traveled out of the country, not as much as other people, but trips here and there. And I was intrigued from the first. I think it's like with some people, the first time your feet hit foreign soil, you realize the gravity of the fact that there's a whole world out there. And so for me, when I turned 40, I spent 6 days at a very rustic resort in the jungles of Belize by myself. And that just really had the yearning in me to just live somewhere else for a while. But I've always been a nomad. Even in the States, I loved moving around. And I'd only settled down because I married someone who didn't like moving around a lot and didn't like a lot of change. So it was very drastic for him. And he initially committed just to give it a try. But I don't think he had high hopes about it. He just kind of agreed, and he wanted to change in his career. So I think that was really the motive for him. He wanted to make a change and do something different work-wise, and he kind of felt like he was at a crossroads. And so I think that if he had been in a different place career-wise, I don't know that we would have been able to make the same decisions. But he took that leap, and Grego, he's happier here than I am now.
Interesting how things turn out.
Yeah, I mean, every day he just loves it here.
Okay, and tell me, what do you don't just love it? You just what's your reaction to being here for the first time for now? What, a month and a half?
Yeah, well, just over a month. I think that what's been unexpected for me is that I don't miss people, as bad as that sounds. I've just missed like familiar things, and especially when stress hits, not having my car to get in and go for a drive. And it's been a process of developing new habits, new outlets, and new things. And I think that that's what anybody has to think about, the unexpected. You know, even if it's just a comfort food meal that you used to go and get all the time that you can't access here. Now you have to find a new replacement for that thing. And so I'm at a place now, though. I mean, I always enjoyed it and I never wanted to go back. I just felt more homesick in a house. We were the only people that ever lived in the house we were in. And here we've been in somebody's house back to back, and I have germ issues, and so that was an adjustment. But you have to keep reminding yourself of the dream. I just have to keep reminding myself of the dream, and then I'm back, you know, feeling good.
That's really interesting, because we're the opposite, I would say. I've been overseas for 5 years. I also before lived in Spain for a while, and I never really missed things. I miss people, I miss my friends, the things I did and do or could do with them. But things about a place, not too much, not too much.
Yeah, I think it's just because my home, like I said, I was the only one who ever lived there. So there were only my germs there, and it was only my stuff, and I picked everything that was there. So I wasn't materialistic about the stuff that was in it. It was just a familiar space.
Okay. Listen, I want to go back for a minute. You touched on something that to me, as a student of culture, is very interesting to me. You said that you guys, as Black people, you considered Africa, but it turns out that Africa, well, okay, the distance is an issue in and of itself, but you thought that it would be too different. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, you know, as I was researching different places and watching podcasts and other people's experiences, there was one podcast in particular, I don't remember the name of it, and I literally listened to them talk, and when they finished, in that instant, I knew I wasn't going. It was so strong, and it was because they spent months. They lived in 10 different countries in Africa with their children and whatever. But at no point in time did they ever feel at home. And it was the same thing that a coworker of mine said. He went to Ghana and Nigeria, and he said, I enjoyed it. The people were nice, but I at no point in time did I ever feel at home, you know. And they said, when they came, the couple said when they came back to Philly, or I think they're from New Orleans maybe, all they could think about was their local favorites, their beignet, their coffee, their this, their that. And I was so disappointed by that, because I just thought that they would feel more of a connection to, you know, the motherland. That's what Black Americans, and I don't think Black people anywhere else think like this. And maybe they do, but I think it's for whatever reason, it's stronger in the culture of Black Americans to view Africa as the motherland, to have a desire to go back there, and to feel that strong connection. I definitely know for a fact that most Caribbean Americans, or Caribbeans period, don't think about Africa as a motherland or have the same desire to go there in mass. And so after I heard their accounts, that coupled with the distance, the expense, knowing that the infrastructure wasn't there, and hearing that the water might be out for days, and, you know, that's when you realize just how American you are. You're like, I can't rough it. I can't be without some basic things, you know? So that kind of made I mean, I still want to visit one day, but I don't really have a desire to live there long term, unless I got there and fell in love. Now, South Africa, maybe. I've heard that, you know, South Africa is very modern, and I think that, you know, we might enjoy that. So, but you never know.
Well, you know, it's very, very interesting, because in general, you said something interesting. You said us Black Americans, we think we want to go back to Africa, and most people haven't been to Africa, so they're not going back.
Good point.
Now, I have visited Africa maybe about 20 years ago, and I felt the same way. I felt I was going to go and commune with my brothers. That I was going to be the lost American brother coming back to the homeland. And I got there, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. Everybody's like, American, American, American. And I realized that I'm not African. And this is my personal belief. I am not African. I'm American. And even before Africa, or in between America and Africa, I have Caribbean roots. So, you know, folks, I would say I call myself a Black American before I call myself an African American, because I'm not African. I have been there, and I learned firsthand I'm not African. I am so American. And, you know, I'll tell this story real quick, then we'll get back to you. I was at a party when I went to Togo. I was at a party hanging out, and a guy comes up to me, looks at me, and he said, "Where are you from?" He said, "What city you from?" I said, "New York." He said, "I'm from Detroit." He could tell. He looked at me from across the room, and he told me he could tell I was from a northeastern American city just by how I carried myself. So.
Yeah, and you still have that northeastern accent too, by the way. It's still there. It's got a little Latin influence, but it's still there.
Yeah, I talk and I drink coffee and I walk down the hallway. So yeah, so many people think, and also a different thing that you talked about. People think Africa. They think of Africa as a monolithic block, but it's not. I mean, it's I don't know how many countries, but it's a lot of countries, and they're all different. So, wow. I'm glad you settled on Colombia. Welcome, and now tell me a little bit about, I guess, how you're able to be here, because you didn't give up your job. You work via the internet. So tell us a little bit about what you do, how you do it, and now how you're transitioning to doing it from here.
Right. So I'm going to, of course, as always, give the abbreviated version, but I spent 20 plus years in corporate America, working as a pretty senior executive for, typical 6-figure salary and all that kind of stuff. And then in 2005, I took my health back. Basically, I changed my diet. people were inspired by that and wanted me to work and work with them. So I lost never into about 60, and I never intended to live in Colombia. It's interesting how one decision you make can have a domino effect that's not just negative, but also positive. And
Khara,
yes.
let me stop you for a minute, only because our audio was a little wonky for a moment, and we missed a bit of what you said at the beginning when you said in 2005. Just give us repeat that for us, please.
Okay, sorry. So in 2005, I made a decision to get a healthier lifestyle going, and I lost over 60 pounds. And other people wanted to know how I did it, and I ended up doing coaching. It was not a dream of mine to do health coaching. It was never even an intention. I just wanted to help people. And as the business grew, my passion for the business grew, and I began doing both one-on-one health coaching, and also I developed a group program called the Rebirth Experience. And so for whatever reason, Grego, I always wanted to be location independent. I didn't know that I would ever go anywhere. I just knew that I didn't want to be tied too much into one location. So I never really created deep roots in Atlanta, where we lived for the past 18 years. I did some things there, but not a lot. I did most online. And so I probably had 4 clients in Atlanta, maybe 5-year cycle, and I never saw them in person. It was always via the computer. And so when I moved here, the only thing I had to do was tell my clients there may be internet issues, which we're having right now. and that was it. But because the time difference, that's another factor in coming to South America, is not that much different than the States. So there was no adjustment in terms of jet lag, in terms of the scheduled calls that I have with them, none of that. It just made for a very easy transition. And once I get the internet up, I'm headed to Oprah's couch next, because I will be ready to focus.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, those are some of the benefits of being in Colombia, South America. Last night, the United States fell back with daylight savings time, and so we are once again on the same time, in the same time zone as East Coast of the United States. So typically for half of the year we're at the same time as New York and the East Coast. And then for the other half of the year, we're 1 hour behind, because Colombia does not use or have daylight savings time. So the United States springs ahead and falls back. We stay the same, and then so we're an hour off, and then we're smack on. And those are some of the benefits. Well, one of the benefits in particular of being in South America versus Asia, Africa, Europe, where there are 6, 8, and 12-hour differences.
Yeah, that was huge. And I think even if we did decide to move further away after we still needed this type of transition to start with. It just would have been way too drastic to go to a different time zone, different language, different culture, all of that, different.
Okay. Now you mentioned something that to me is very interesting. Different language, because here there is a different language. How are you guys, you husband and kids? How is the family adjusting to life in Spanish?
Okay, so hopefully they don't get mad at me, but I'm going to be honest. I think it's been the easiest for me saying Spanish. And so even though I don't speak Spanish very well at all, I have a strong desire to want to learn the language. And I love trying.
You love what?
Okay, did I go out again? Hear me?
Yeah, you did. Tell me repeat what you love.
Okay. I just love the way the language sounds.
Okay.
And the passion when people speak their language. But my husband, he enjoys it and he's trying, but sometimes my husband has, and has to take a day at home. Because it can be challenging when you're constantly in environments where there's no English being spoken. You don't understand what anybody is saying around you. It's an adjustment.
Sure.
It's an adjustment. Definitely. So for the children are not trying at all. I think they're going to need some structured instruction. Not really. They're trying like 3 little ways that children will try, but it's not with any serious effort. So depending on how long we stay here, they definitely will need some lessons.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we may have to check back with you in a month or 2 to see how they're going. I'm especially interested as someone who teaches English, and I've spoken Spanish for a long time. So, but the process is interesting to me. So I'm interested in how your 2 children begin to acquire, because there's a big age difference between what did you 7 and 15? Did you say?
7 and 16.
Okay, so I'm interested in the differences between how the 2 of them adapt and acquire. I would expect the 7-year-old to soak it up more organically and easier, and maybe the 16-year-old, your daughter, to have more resistance. That by the time we're 16, I think we have the resistance that we carry forward in life as adults.
No, you would be right about that. I mean, but the problem with my 7-year-old is he doesn't like not knowing things, and he's a big talker. So he's been frustrated by being somewhere where he could talk all day and no one knows what he's saying, So he was initially not open for that reason, but now I think he's getting to a place where he wants people to be able to understand what he's saying, and he wants to be able to communicate because he is such a big communicator. So I think that will motivate him more to want to learn the language the longer we're here. Once he applies himself, I think he'll pick it up pretty fast, but he hasn't had enough of an interest yet.
Okay. Well, what are some of the things that they do? Because immersion and activities are one entree into the language and into the culture. I imagine you spend a lot of your day working, but the children, so tell us a little bit about their experiences, what they do, and how they're adapting apart from language or in addition to language.
So they both homeschool, like I mentioned before. My son is now playing football, which he really loves. And I think that's a perfect way for him to meet other children. And he has to learn how to listen to the coach, even though he doesn't speak the language. And so he's doing really well with that. He saw some of his football teammates when we went to a local church yesterday, and and that was really nice for him. My teenager, she's just now, this week, we're going to look into getting her. We're going to go visit a kickboxing gym for her, and then she's going to go to a horseback riding camp later this month. So I think that will help her socialization a lot. I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay.
And it's so cheap to do that here, Grego.
Yeah.
Life is just easier here. I have to say that everything is just easier because there's not this huge financial commitment to everything, every decision you make. I mean, and that's what makes it easier in spite of the traffic.
Yeah, well, Medellin is a big city, so there is traffic. There is that. But yeah, sure, that's a great that is a great difference between the United States and Colombia. So many things are much more accessible. I would say, well, if someone's taking horseback riding lessons, they must be rich. But here, it's anybody can basically do stuff like that. So tell me, Khara, tell us a little bit about your husband. What's he doing? Because you've got your coaching business, internet based, so you're running with that. What's your husband doing in the meantime?
So he was working before as an assistant at a residential facility for post-traumatic stress veterans, military veterans. And, you know, here he's really looking to see how he can transition and use some of his other gifts. So the problem for him almost is that he has too many other things that he's good at or passionate about. Then it can be harder to narrow it down and then take on top of that and see what out of all of this can I monetize. So on the back end, he does do a lot of my videos. He's working on editing a ton of my content to help me roll things out, which is sorely needed. You know, when you're a health coach and you do cooking videos and you're growing your social media brand, it takes a lot of work to put those videos together. So he does all of that type of stuff for me. And then in the meantime, trying to see, is that something, a service that he could offer to other people? He's also really passionate about nature and hiking and exploring. He's big on survival. He used to do a lot of, he used to give people information on being prepared in case of emergencies and things like that. So he's really right now just, you know, kind of trying to figure out what street he wants to walk down. What does he want to walk down? And also what would bring the most value to other people, something that he could build a business off of, but also just staying open to opportunity, you know, in different ways. So I think it's going to just bubble up on its own. We just need to be in the right mindset to capture it and jump on it. And that's what I would suggest to other people is you'll shut an idea down in your own mind and no one has told you no yet. No one told you no. You just don't believe. So the door is closed.
You know, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and this is a person who typically will tell me why they can't do something instead of how they can do it. You know, the first thing is, no, I can't do that because, and I look at things and I'm like, I can do that. This might be what I need to be able to do it. Let me go see how I can find it. You know, not why you can't, but how you can. Okay.
Yes, yes. And that's it. And so people keep saying, you're so courageous. I just couldn't do it. And it probably shouldn't bother me, but it really irritates me when people keep saying that, because when you say I'm courageous, that means you feel like you're not, you know. Exactly. When you say that, you know, when you talk about me not having fear, that means that you're living in fear. And I'm sad for you that you are spending whatever time you may have left on this earth living in fear. You know, now if somebody said to me, that's just not my thing, I'm happy you're having a great time, that wouldn't bother me at all, because it's not for everybody. Right. But when you say you're so courageous, that I feel like you kind of really want to do something. Maybe it's not even move abroad. You just want to do something, but you're letting other things hold you back when you're a grown adult. So you spent your whole childhood fantasizing about what life might be like as an adult. Then you reach adulthood and you don't do it. Why? Why is that?
Interesting. I get the sense that your coaching business can maybe expand into new dimensions from this conversation. It seems that you have your move to Colombia has given you and perhaps an added depth that you can add to your business. What do you think?
I think that I'll see how things evolve. I mean, my one-on-one coaching is never just about food. It's never just about direct health. It's about total lifestyle, because if you're not happy in one area of your life, it does end up affecting what you eat and how you treat yourself and how you take care of yourself and ultimately your health, you know. So it is something that I'm passionate about. And what's funny how things tie together is, in corporate America, I always did a lot of project management, program management, driving to deadline, driving things to completion, helping create processes to get stuff done. And so I feel like with my one-on-one coaching, that's what I do. We meet, we discuss, what do you want life to look like? And then we map out how you're going to get there. You know, and then we course correct along the way. So you did this week, it didn't work. Let's make this adjustment and now try that and see if that makes a difference.
Wow, wow. That's real. That's excellent and very. Imagine that you're doing now. I mean, what you're doing might be similar now to what you did before. So similar skills, but I imagine it's much more rewarding because you're not doing it for a big conglomeration that sells widgets, for example, something like that. You're doing it for people, and you have a one-on-one connection. So it sounds like that I imagine it's much more rewarding, no?
It is a million times more rewarding than making some guy rich. Yes. Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. So Khara, you've moved to Colombia, and your life is growing. Your family stayed intact, and your life is growing and expanding. Sounds like a win-win-win-win because there are four of you. Win-win-win-win to me, no?
I think it's a win, and I want to say that your help and also just the visual of seeing people like us do this thing is huge, and just that you were so willing to answer questions and give information and be so positive. People are going through a lot of change and disruption in their lives. They really need that positivity. You would check in periodically. Hey, how's it going? How's everything? And just be that listening ear, because it is the most overwhelmingly stressful thing you may ever do in your life. And my other friend who's here told me that it's almost like I don't really believe in the concept of the universe and the way many people say it, but it does feel at times like forces are conspiring to. You're trying to go, they're pulling you back. You're trying to go, they're pulling you back,
Wow.
And you were such a voice of reason along with just very practical information. So we very much appreciate you for that.
I will tell you, it is always my pleasure. One thing I've learned and I'm adjusting to is I'm social. I love connecting with people, and sometimes that used to get me in trouble. That used to get me in trouble on my jobs because I'd just be hanging out talking to folks. So now basically I'm making my job, being able to connect with folks. That's what I love to do. I can stay up forever connecting and talking and trying to help people find what they need, what they want, and rather than having to build and sell a widget. So that was my pleasure.
Yes, and you are such a gift, and I know you have a name for yourself over here, and we really appreciate you. And I've learned so much from you about just owning who you are, and don't apologize for it. I mean, you don't want to be rude to other people. I still want to be kind, but at the same time, I have to own who I am as a person and just walk in that every day. And I don't care what you think about it.
Yeah. Yep. I tell people now, my life is a dictatorship, and I'm the dictator. So what you think I should be doing, I'm not interested in. I don't care. And Khara, let me say this. It has been, right now we're speaking via our computers, you from your Medellin apartment and me from my Medellin apartment, but we met in person a couple of weeks ago, and that was such an extreme high and extreme pleasure for me, meeting somebody and connecting physically with somebody that I'd spoken with and helped get down here. And I posted one of the pictures you took of us, and some of my friends said, "Oh wow, it's great to see good friends get together." So they looked at us, and there's just a connection. We are now good friends.
Yes.
So thank you, and congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And I tell you, we love you, Grego. You're in the family. And guess what? Now that you're vegan, if you're still vegan, we got to have you over for a meal.
Yeah. Folks don't know this, but a week ago, I don't say I'm vegan. I say I've stopped eating meat, and I'm transitioning to a plant-based diet, because if I tell somebody I'm vegan, yeah, it's just been 7 days. It's just been 7 days. But I'm monitoring my weight. I haven't lost weight. Sometimes I get a little hungrier, and then I eat snacks and everything. But I'm still with the diet, and yes, I am available for dinner engagements. So.
Yes. No, really, I'm going to put that on the calendar before we move to Sabaneta, because then we'll be a little further out. So while we're still here on the border, let's see if we can make something happen, get a couple folks together.
Sounds like a plan to me. And I lived in Sabaneta, so even if it can't happen before, if it happens after, I have no problem hopping on the metro and going to Sabaneta. Those are my old stomping grounds. So.
All right. Yeah, we are very excited to go out there. Let me tell you, we love it. It's so beautiful.
Sabaneta is a nice municipality connected to Medellin by metro. So as you travel to Sabaneta, you can't really tell that you're leaving. It's just kind of an official boundary. You're out of the city, but so what? You still hop on the metro to come in. It's nice living. It's comfortable. Nice quality. So yeah, I recommend Sabaneta. I think you will enjoy it. And so good luck in your further explorations and in your further developments of your Medellin life.
Yes. Loving it more every day. Every day, loving it more.
Fantastic. Okay, Khara, for folks that want to reach you, how can they get in touch with you? It sounds like it's not just folks who may want to lose weight, but folks who want to connect with themselves and expand their lives. And it sounds like you can help folks with just about anything. So how can my audience and our growing audiences reach you?
Right. Well, I'm Coach Khara on Instagram. That's Khara. Or you can email me at coachk@Khara, Khara, Ashburne.com. Like Coach K at Khara, Ashburne.com, which is spelled KHARA, as in boy, URNE.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Khara Ashburne, KHARA. I have a group on Facebook called Go Vegan, very easy to find. That's the name of it. That's a free group you can join and connect with me through there. Or Coach K's Healthy Living is my Facebook page. And I'm on YouTube, Coach Khara. So I'm growing my YouTube channel, so feel free to follow me there as well.
Fantastic. As soon as we finish this conversation, I'm joining your vegan group. I'm gonna join you.
Yeah, you should come in. Challenge this week, 5 days. It's called Weekday Vegan for people who just want to kind of be a flexitarian. I'm going to be vegan Monday through Friday, and then eat whatever I want on the weekend. So we'll see.
Flexitarian?
Yes. Flexitarian means people just kind of want to do a little bit of whatever.
I think it might not be in my diet, but I think I've been a flexitarian all my life.
A lot of people are.
Well, great, Khara. We will connect with you. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, congratulations to you and your family. And we will be in touch. We'll grow together and
Yes.
see what's out there for us.
Yes, thank you, Grego. Thank you for having me. And much love to you from the whole family.
Fantastic. I look forward to meeting your kids. I've met your husband, and now I look forward to meeting your kids and being a part of the family. So
yes. Thank you, Grego.
Okay, folks, this has been the new next episode of GrupoAmos in Colombia. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon. Ciao.